I think it's interesting because, first, yes, again, we cannot stop commending Mrs. Beringa for the courage she exhibited while speaking with us this morning. But we also, it's also interesting to note that the Senate, the National Assembly, as a matter of fact, really put this matter in the front burner.
Which impressed me.
Yeah, it's gladdening because, yes, they've summoned the IGP in a week to come forward and speak to them about this matter. But yesterday, while we spoke to the Assistant Commissioner of Police, CID, I think Deputy Commissioner, I think, in River State, he did say at the time that, if I remember properly, they didn't get information. I think they didn't get it on time or so. But there are different accounts saying that they were actually there. We have people who even sent tweets saying, listen, they were there. Now, this is another account saying they were there. So with the police in the country, a lot really has got to be done because it's not enough for the IG alone to do this.
Government officials lie too often. It's a pity. And that is a crime on its own, especially if you have taken an oath to carry out a certain office or duty. When you tell a lie, even if you don't know, it's better to say, I am not sure. I do not know. But they often make categorical statements which they later on try to turn over, were misquoted at the very best. It is a lie, blatant lie, that the police did not get there. The police were there.
Now, considering that, you know, there are multiple layers of problems here.
Yes.
Very recently, we saw UK Prime Minister Tony Blair apologizing of an incident that happened years ago and where the police failed to protect the lives of people who had gone to watch a match at a football stadium.
Yes.
And we've also seen that they've had to exhume the files and do another reinvestigation, as it were. Would you say, or would you suggest that the police be the one to investigate this, since, you know, there are multiple layers here? If you were called and you responded, but you did not have the capacity, and there is some denial that you were not even called at all, do you trust the capacity of the police to be able to thoroughly investigate this?
Well, I'm happy again that you use the term that virtually helps me here. Multiple layers. That goes to bear on what the Senate President was referring to in that report, and Senator Magnus Abbey. The issue of community policing, the issue of devolution of powers, the issue of federalism, and what it really should mean. At that same retreat, we all voted that there should be devolution of powers. We all voted that even police should be, the powers of police should be devolved. Now, if in, say, let's take America, if even the president is suspected to be guilty of something, a special prosecutor is appointed. Now, the Nigerian Constitution does not empower the Attorney General to be independent of the president. Therefore, who will appoint the man who will come and check, say, the president? As in this case, who will police the police, as Aristotle asked long ago? If you don't have different layers of police, nobody can police the police. Nobody will be able, we cannot trust. It's a question of a coefficient of trust. Do we have trust that truth and justice will evolve out of anything done? It will be incestuous to get a policeman to sit over a panel or sit on a panel made up mainly of police people to invest fellow policemen in a corrupt Nigeria, which we all know is corrupt, blatantly corrupt.
So one of the things you're suggesting seems to be along the line of what the Senate President was talking about in terms of state police. But
eventually,
it doesn't seem to answer the question of capacity. and also the mentality, because if truly they were there and truly say they did not have the capacity, how many bullets do we have? That could also have been the complaint of the state police.
Capacity. It wasn't capacity. It was apathy. It was a lack of concern. You see, if you are a member of a community and you are now made, you are a police officer who belongs to or lives in a community, because you know the people, because the people know you. When you appear, they realize that should you go into a witness box, you can identify them individually. If you come from Maraba in Abuja to come and serve in Lagos, you don't know the Lagosian, average Lagosian on the street where you are serving. So you do not feel any empathy. You don't feel in any way compelled to act unless you are compelled physically by somebody else sitting over you and overseeing you, enforcing orders.
You know, Mr. Uranta, what would be the difference in all of this talk for state police? Because in any case, yesterday we talked about vigilante groups, and for some, they believe that when you talk about state police, is just giving them the name police, when in fact it's almost the same as the vigilantes we see in some communities as well as in some states.
No, a vigilante group is a vigilante group. It cannot be seen pari passu.
Now we're looking at the attitude of vigilante groups. They say by the time you put it and say this is state police, you have a state police. It's like the same kind of attitude you see from vigilantes that you will see.
The moment you institutionalize even those same groups and you call them a police, a member of government, they become part of government and they become disciplined.
They become more powerful and they abuse such powers. That is the fear.
No, abuse of power will go on everywhere in the world. It goes on in America, Australia, England.
But there's a but.
But because the system is efficient enough to fish out most of the culprits, the culpability rate is lower.
Which is where our laws come in here.
Which is where our systems come in here. Because it's not just the laws. We have got a few laws. I mean, the 1999 Constitution, as much as we abuse it and all, if we were to practice just that and carry it out conscientiously as we should, we would have fewer problems.
Yeah, but by laws, I mean our sense of justice.
Our values.
Yeah, values. And because, I mean, the reason why people take laws into their hands because they feel they can't get justice elsewhere. Look at what she was told by the police. Is it with this one that I'm going to fight? And that doesn't give anybody any hope.
It doesn't. My daughter wasted 1 year. She's just gone back to school at home because we were threatened by Boko Haram that they would attack American University Yola. They did not in the end, but I wasn't going to risk leaving her there. I had to get her out of school. And quite a few other parents did the same. Now, that is because we did not have confidence, or we do not have confidence in the agencies supposed to protect them. And that is partly because our value system has so eroded that the whole thing is now a question of money. How do we go out there and make money to survive? That seems to be the main thought on the mind of the average Nigerian and including the average policeman. And when you look at the circumstances under which these police people live, their barracks, their homes, they live in slums, the worst kind of environment. And you expect that man to come out and diligently protect you.
In fact, yet they are uglies to these politicians who they see fritter away so much money.
And those uglies live a big life. And the other ones who go on patrol ask themselves, why can't we become uglies? Why are we kept in charge of these poor masses who don't matter because they are not ready to pay us? They don't pay us.
Oh dear.
Well, they look at it, they'll say, at least this community people, maybe once in a while will go, they give us some bags of rice or gari.
So is that a thinking sometimes?
It is. It's sad, but it is.
Do you also agree with the senator who says that, you know, this has only become an issue because the children of the elite, as it were, are now being affected? Here we are. Last week it was killings of students in Mubi. Now this week,
yes, I feel his pain. I understand him, but it's not just that. It's just that it's becoming more rampant. And in this particular case of Alo, we have video evidence, and the social media, the new media, were available to bring this to the attention of the world within minutes of its beginning. The first set of photographs I sent out were sent out whilst these boys were still living, whilst they were being beaten. In fact, they thought they had already died when they put some, two of them in particular were assumed dead, but sprang into life when they were being burnt. The pain of the fire brought them alive. Now, because of the new media, the social media, it's more difficult to hide a lot of things from the world. Now we have become truly one village. So a man dies or 46 students die in Mubi, we cannot hide it away from Washington. And the Washington press will not say 46 students were killed in Mubi. They will say 46 Nigerian students were killed by Nigerian whatever fanatics. And so the Nigerian government is now more on trial out there in the open. In fact, the Nigerian people. I travel a lot, and whenever I go out, I see the disdain.
So much blood everywhere.
With which I'm treated just because you look at my
Mr. Uranta, so